trending on Arise Play.
Inside, Ingram is to hear claims that he teamed up with a coughing accomplice to cheat his way to the £1 million jackpot on hit quiz show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
I really enjoyed it. It's very entertaining, it's very witty, it's very quick, it's very sharp. That'll be up to you to see whether you think they're innocent or guilty.
Major Charles Ingram. You ready to play?
Exclusively on Arise Play. Download the app and subscribe to join a bold new world of entertainment. Arise Play, beyond streaming.
Very warm welcome to this week, 60 minutes of analytical review of the big stories, topical issues and all the controversies around the world. I'm Somna Sambu. Coming up, federal government promises fair trial for leader of proscribed IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, as Kenyan authorities are denying his arrest in Kenya, saying the allegations have been concocted to pitch Nigerians in the southeast against the Kenyan people. Amidst challenges with the British, lawmakers passed the Petroleum Industry Bill 13 years after its conception. Many believe the bill will provide a clear legal framework to regulate the oil and gas sector and provide the transparency and accountability necessary for investments. Plus, the defection of Zamfara State Governor Bello Matawalle from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress has key actors in the state reacting to this development. And of course, we'll also be taking a look at what's happening in South Africa, where former South African President Jacob Zuma has appealed the 15 years jail term slammed on him by the country's Supreme Court. Stay with us. There is a diplomatic row brewing between Nigeria and the United Kingdom following the rearrest of proscribed IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. Arise News during the week obtained exclusive video of Kanu during his arraignment, and our investigations revealed that Nigeria is concerned about the circumstances under which Kanu was able to obtain a British passport that enabled him to travel internationally. Meanwhile, Kanu's lawyer, Aloy Ejimako, is requesting that the British government grant the separatist leader every possible consular assistance to which he is entitled as a British citizen. Ejimako also wants the British government to demand that his lawyers and doctors be allowed to have access to him while in detention. Kanu is being detained by Nigeria's secret police on court orders. He is accused by the Nigerian authorities of orchestrating and killing over 100 people, including security officials in the country's southeast region. The IPOB leader holds dual citizenship in Nigeria and the UK. He is known to have been residing in the UK after jumping bail and fleeing Nigeria in 2017 during his trial for treasonable felony. Both his Nigerian and British passport were deposited with the Nigerian court as part of his bail conditions. Questions are now being raised about the role of the British government in the saga and the possibility of being an accessory to Kanu jumping bail. Contacted by a sister publication This Day, officials of the British High Commission in Nigeria provided sketchy details while saying that they are still waiting for more information from their home government. The Kenyan High Commission in Nigeria has in the meantime also dismissed claims that Kanu was arrested in the country. Let's listen to the country's Attorney General.
Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, the self-acclaimed leader of proscribed IFOF, was sometimes back arrested precisely on the 14th day of October 2015 on 11-count charge bordering on terrorism, treasonable felony, managing an unlawful society, publication of defamatory matters, illegal possession of firearms, and improper importation of goods, among others.
Well, to help us analyze the issues surrounding Nnamdi Kanu's diplomatic ties, we have with us in the studio Ambassador Usman Sarki, Nigeria's former Deputy Permanent Representative to the United Nations and the Directing Staff of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. We also have with us Chief Wuli Ezugu, who is the Secretary General, Conference of Nigeria Political Parties. And I had to call you Chief today because you're fully dressed like one, and we have to pay obeisance to our traditional leaders. Well, I want to welcome you gentlemen to Arise News. Now let's start with you, Ambassador. It's a trying time for the Nigeria-British relations, and Nigeria is, having lots of challenges with Britain when it comes to this issue of Nnamdi Kanu, and then we've seen a back and forth in exchanges when our sister publication had asked the British authorities on how Nnamdi Kanu was able to get a second passport after his exit from Nigeria when he was a fugitive. I just want you to take us through the procedures of getting a passport as a diplomat when two of your passports have been seized by the court, a Nigerian passport and a British passport, and you leave the country. What's the next step to be done? Should you be offered a consular assistance by a foreign government when your home government has declared you wanted?
Thank you very much, Sumna, for inviting me to this program, and it's a pleasure to join you, Chief.
Thank you.
The Nigerian government is entitled to all intents and purposes to consider the action of the British government as an unfriendly act. It is unfriendly because the British government or its agents and operatives connived with a fugitive who was actually running away from justice, who jumped bail and left the country. And they gave him asylum. They gave him abode, a safe haven, a residence in their country. And they gave him a travel document. How they got to give him those documents, whether in Nigeria or outside, we don't know. But the mere fact that he has a travel document belonging to that country's government ensures or testifies to the connection between him and the government of that country. And for this reason, our government, the Nigerian government, is fully entitled under both our laws and international law to consider this as an unfriendly act, which undermines the credibility, the sovereignty, and the security of this country. In diplomacy, there is a principle called retortion, which is like retaliation. And Nigeria is entitled, when the appropriate moment comes, to retaliate or to retort this action, which is unfriendly, which is perpetrated by the British government. Having said so, you have asked me the issue of obtaining passports. Passports are usually, these are sovereign instruments, the possession of which testifies to the fact that you have been recognized by the issuing country, that you have met all conditions of being a citizenship or a resident of that country before they give you that document. The considerations that the British had in giving Nnamdi Kanu citizenship and passport beats my imagination. Here is a person who has been declared an unfriendly person, or at least being tried by the court of another country, and yet they went ahead for 4 years to give him comfort in their land. And I think that says a lot about Nigeria-British relationship.
Okay, now
we can address this.
Yes, well, we'll come to you as we go. In this circumstance, Nnamdi Kanu's lawyers are saying that, look, he's a British citizen, and as such, the British High Commission should offer him consular service, and that he left Nigeria not as a Nigerian, despite the fact that he was born in Nigeria, and as such, this is an unfriendly act by Britain against, an unfriendly act by Nigeria against a British citizen, and his lawyer is asking for consular assistance now after his rearrest. What's your view about that?
Okay, thank you. You see, it baffles me when we try to claim some certain things that are not supposed to. For example, Kalu owns a dual citizenship, Nigeria and British. And a civilized country can never let any of their citizens being trod in the way Kalu is being handled. Whether we like it or not, if in my place, we'd always say that it is only a tree that will hear that you'll be cut off or cut down, he will remain. But if he's a human being, he has to find a way of how to save his life.
So in other words,
with what happened to Kanu, both in his town, his so-called village where he was born, and for him to remain in Nigeria with all those threats, and mind you that because of what happened to him, both in his house, in hometown, this made the parents, both parents, died out of shock. And if you allow him to remain here, you know what will happen to him. If busting his house, so many people were killed when they were looking for him, and the next thing he has to do is to find his way to their country, the second country of home, which is Britain, and they accepted their citizen. Kanu did not, because he was being chased out of Nigeria and become a British citizen. This citizen must have, either he was born there or brought up there. Something must have happened that he had it. He had been a British citizen before this time of this problem. Now,
let's talk about the role of Britain in that. Do you think that Britain was actually right in giving him a passport or providing some kind of traveling documents when Britain itself knows that he's facing trial in a Nigerian court of law, which has seized 2 of his passports, the Nigerian and then the British passport? Shouldn't the British respect our courts?
Excuse me. The way the incident happened, there's no way he run into British High Commission here that they will not save him. If your house is being bombarded the way they bombarded his house, and that is why he has to find a shelter in the embassy there. And the embassy, being they believe that he's one of them, they have to save his life first. So as far as I'm concerned, what they did was quite very, very correct and right.
All right. Well, the Nigerian military actually invaded Nnamdi Kanu's hometown in Afaraoku, and that was what led to his forceful exit. And when he was presented before Justice Binta Nyako, he actually said that if not for that invasion, he would have provided him, he would have presented himself in court. So shouldn't the Nigerian government be blaming itself?
Did they invade your house, your village? Did they invade mine or chiefs? There are 185 or 200 million people in Nigeria today. Has any of them run to Britain to seek asylum because their house have been bombarded by the Nigerian government? This is a fallacious argument, totally unacceptable. There must be a reason why the law, the state will go after you if you have not committed certain offenses. As a bona fide citizen, law-abiding citizen, the state will not come after you.
Okay, just hold on there. We'll have to go on break. When we come back, to continue that point. Well, it's time for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion. Stay with us. Welcome back to This Week, where we hold the best of conversations and analysis. I'm Somna Sambo, and I still have with me in the studio Ambassador Usman Serki, Nigeria's former Deputy Permanent Representative to the United Nations. And he is also a Director Staff of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. And of course, we also have with us Willie Ezugo, who is the Secretary General of the Conference of Nigeria's Political Parties. Now, Ambassador, you were making that critical point, actually, on whether it wasn't Nnamdi Kanu's right to actually run away from the country after the military invaded his hometown in Afaraoko.
Well, you see, you may have your say, but the state will always have its way. So he may argue that he ran or escaped for his life, but at the same time, there is a concomitant reason or responsibility for the Nigerian state, the Nigerian government, to go after him in order to ensure that justice is upheld, the rule of law is observed, and due process are followed. And remember, he was taken to court. He was not just incarcerated and dumped in a hole and left there. He was brought to court, and in observance of the law, the processes of the law, sureties came forward, or guarantors, or people who stood for him, and they obtained bail.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Senator Yinaya Baribe standing in for him.
And he was supposed to observe the provisions of the bail on which the judge granted those bails. And those sureties, 4 or 6 of them, I don't know, they are liable to produce him on the day of the trial to court. But for 4 years, he absconded, and those people, some of them are scot-free.
Oh, okay,
so
now let's look at...
the rule of law has been observed.
Yes,
and nobody will accuse the Nigerian government of not observing the law.
But let's look at the extraordinary rendition that has happened now. The federal government going outside to extraordinarily carry him, package him. Some people say created him. Some people say abducted him, and all of that. All sort of words being used. In diplomacy, how is this allowed? And do you think that Britain wouldn't be right in its own circumstances to say that based on this extraordinary rendition, as it's said in diplomatic circles, that Britain has a right to protect its citizen?
Well, all is said and done. And when all processes are followed, due processes, legal processes are followed, and the result has not been obtained, there is something under international law called ius imperium, an act of state. The state must defend itself. The state must project its interest. The state must enforce its sovereignty and credibility. And going out to obtain the apprehension of a fugitive is the responsibility of the state, and that was what happened. That is called
irrespective of the means.
Irrespective of the means. And today, because of the egregious nature of the threat and the charges made against him, it entailed that he is what, under international law, what is called hostis humani generis. That is an enemy of mankind. The state can declare him hostis humani generis. And under what is called civitas maxima, that is the interest of the global community, you can go after such a person and obtain his detention and extradition by any means that
including interception,
including
just like what the Nigerian government said.
So there is legal foundation or basis for what the government has done.
Okay, now let's come to you, Ezugu. In all of this, some people have said that the Nigerian government was right to have declared Nnamdi Kanu as an enemy of state, because if he wasn't afraid, why was he running away?
Well, like I told you,
since he was standing trial in court, a court of law.
Earlier, mind you, so many courts granted him bail, which the same federal government refused. So many courts granted bail.
But eventually he was granted bail.
Eventually, but what are the first ones? What are the ones that were granted before? Why didn't the government obey their own courts? So based on that, it was just a kind of an easier way. By the time they were able to grant him that bail, and with what happened, like I said earlier, in his home, that was what made him to feel that my life is no longer safe.
And he went outside the country. He was still engaging in those allegedly subversive activities that got him into the courtroom in the first instance. Why didn't he stop with his radio broadcasts, inciting people, as is being alleged by the Nigerian government?
As an agitator, he felt he was free. He felt he can be able to do what he's doing, because, mind you, he has followers. Mind you, he has multitude of followers. And mind you, from what is going on in the Southeast today, you can blame him. The Nigerian government can blame him, but those people he represents, look at it as whatever he must have done.
Are you saying you are also not being represented by Nnamdi Kanu? Because I mean, a lot of people think he's representing the interests of the Southeast.
If it is not the marginalization of the Southeast, such a thing wouldn't have happened. If you see what is going on in the Southeast, whether you like, even if it is ordinary fly that want to represent them, they will follow the person. Because if you see the way the Southeast is being treated up to this moment, I'm telling you. For example, I'm now telling you there are 2 villages in Enugu State. You must have heard the news. Whereby, just because the people went to the bush and drove away the herdsmen who are eating up their crops, and the full combatant of soldiers and army were sent to that village, burning houses and all. If you are from that village, would you run away? Okay, so now, if you see this kind of a situation, there's no way you can remain. There's no way you will be given a British space by giving that bail after refusing a lot of bail, that you, if you are a Kanu, you have alternative that you will use it.
Oh,
and
okay.
that alternative was
very quickly, Nnamdi Kanu's family is accusing Kenya of giving up Nnamdi Kanu to the Nigerian authorities. Kenya has denied. Where do we go from there?
As it is, we don't know which is which. We don't know the country.
There are also calls that it was in Addis Ababa he was intercepted.
So many countries, even Brazil. And you should know the kind of information we normally get in this country, where lies is being thrown off even by the government. And when I mean lies, you can imagine if the information minister will come here, will tell you a different thing.
Oh, okay, very interesting. Let me come to you as you try to round off this conversation now. How should this trial be treated? And how should Nnamdi Kanu be treated so that we don't have another Muhammad Yusuf on our hands, like it happened with the Boko Haram leader in 2009 when he was arrested by the military, handed over to the police, only for us to hear that he died in custody?
Well, incidentally, I'm from Maiduguri. I'm from Borno State, where Boko Haram started. I can never, for the life of me, come to this program to defend Boko Haram, to defend Muhammad Yusuf Osheko, as Chief is doing, defending IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu, or justifying what he has done. These people are criminals. I cannot come and defend any of them here. At the same time, as Nigerians, when we discuss these national issues with global implications, we must dissociate ourselves from tribal, ethnic, religious, regional sentiments and discuss them on the basis of objective reality, of the national interest. It's on this basis that we should approach. But if we reduce ourselves to the notion of marginalization, underhand activities, maltreatment, we will not go anywhere. There will be no objective discussion. There will be no logical end to it. In terms of his treatment and trial, if the Nigerian government wants to harm him, our security forces would not have brought him back to the country alive and well. They could have disposed of him somewhere and nobody will be wiser. And that's the end of the matter. But because the president has sworn to uphold the rule of law and the Constitution, and his government reflects that stand since he came to office, that is why the extradition of this man back to Nigeria took place. And that is why we can see him hale and hearty on television, appearing, going to court and coming out. So Nigerians should have confidence in the government and let the government handle this issue at its discretion, without any pressure or interference from either internal forces or interests or external interests.
Yes, particularly that of Britain right now. Yes. But just in 30 seconds now, what does this say about the issue of dual nationality? Should Nigeria jettison that?
Well, not necessarily jettison it, but we should re-examine which countries we should have this arrangement with. It's our discretion to recognize the dual nationality arrangement with other countries. So it is our turn to now sit down, look at the actions of Britain to see whether we should do that. But let us not forget there are thousands and thousands of good Nigerian citizens who hold dual nationality, British and Nigerian. Okay. We should not punish them because of this incident.
Very interesting position there, Ambassador. We'll just have to go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussions based on other stories available to us. Stay with us.